Hello guys, and welcome to a video about making great black coffee. This includes long blacks, espresso, double espresso, and macchiatos. If you're new to making coffee, you might be wondering exactly what a macchiato is. There are two types, the short and the long macchiato. Short is a single shot, long is a double shot. They are finished by spooning a bit of froth on top and pouring a tiny bit of milk in, enough to change the espresso liquid slightly without making it too milky. To start with, we are going to do the single espresso. Empty the portafilter and wipe it. To do the espresso, we are using a small espresso cup. As the espresso requires only one shot, we are going to collect the other shot into a spare shot glass. To prevent splashes on a white espresso cup, I balance the cup on an upside down shot glass to elevate it. Crema is the main feature of black coffee. If you don't have any crema on your black coffee, then your black coffee is never going to truly be great. Crema is that nice golden layer on top of our extraction that we do, and we generally want it to be nice and thick. You can hold this instead if you prefer, but by balancing on a shot glass, this will free you up to do other things like get the plate and spoon ready for the espresso. There are two reasons why you might want to collect the spare coffee shot. Firstly, if you make another coffee within the next couple of minutes that needs a single shot, it is possible to use this spare shot providing it still looks okay. Secondly, by collecting this spare shot, we keep the grill of the espresso machine cleaner and we reduce the amount of espresso and coffee grinds sitting in the drainage area underneath the coffee machine, which acts to build up and block the drainage pipe slowly over time. Notice the thick layer of crema in the spare shot glass. This is the golden brown layer that rests on top of the extraction. Next, we will be making the long black. I want to demonstrate both the cup and the mug sizes. When making the long black, we will want to put the hot water in the cups first before doing the extraction. Doing this the other way around will destroy the delicate layer of crema. When the shots have been added to the long black, it is ready to be served. The main time in making the long black is going to be in preparing the cup, getting the hot water, and ensuring that we get the extraction done on top of this hot water as soon as the extraction is ready. Holding the cup up to the spouts of the portafilter will ensure the maximum crema, allowing this to roll straight on top of the hot water instead of dropping down into the water and rapidly dissolving. It is up to you how strong you make your long black. As a general rule, I would say that most cafes will do a double ristretto, which is 45 mils, of espresso for their cup size, and a double shot for their mug size. It's important to note that you just need to be consistent. If multiple baristas work at your business, make sure everyone does the same thing. If making a larger sized long black, you will run into the problem of not being able to fit the larger size underneath the spouts of the portafilter. Or, if you can angle the cup underneath to begin with, after adding 60 mils of espresso on top of this, you might not be able to get it back out without significant spillage. In this case, do your double shot into shot glasses or a small cup or glass. Then transfer these carefully to the larger size when extracted. Pour with the intention of trying to get the crema to slide onto the surface of the hot water rather than being dumped straight in. Next up, we have our double espresso. This should be handled in a similar way to the regular espresso by balancing on a shot glass to minimize splashes and to preserve the crema. The only other unique consideration here is that if your cup isn't big enough, you may run into the problem of having too much crema, which will cause an overflow, or at the least being very difficult to stir sugar in. Many customers that order a black coffee like this, especially a double espresso, are going to find that the coffee is naturally very bitter, so they need some sugar. If the cup is also quite small, the spouts of the portafilter may be very close to dispensing over the edges of the cup. Even if you put this cup right in the middle where the two spouts are, sometimes the spouts are very close, so you have to be very precisely positioned to make sure that you don't get any liquid that dispenses over the sides. You want to get all the coffee into the cup. So this precise positioning may be called for, at least until the extraction starts to occur. When getting ready to make a new drink, remove the portafilter, knock out the used coffee grinds, and briefly purge the group head that your portafilter came from by pressing the button and pressing again after a second or two to allow some of the loose grinds that stuck to the coffee machine to come out. This will cause a slight mess on the drip tray, so try to regularly wipe this tray down to prevent mess from getting onto the bottom of your cups. The short macchiato is going to be very similar to the single espresso, but we need to steam a small quantity of hot milk as well. The reason for doing this is to use a small spoon of froth on top of the drink and add a tiny quantity of hot milk. The milk will very slightly change the taste of the drink, and the addition of the froth on top can make the drink very visually pleasing. In actuality, we only use about 1% of the hot milk that we are steaming up. For this reason, it is best to pair making any macchiato with any milk drink, for example a latte. Making these both at the same time will only require the 1 jug of milk, as you are only using less than 1% of the milk for the macchiato. I will say that you should do the macchiato first, as it is far easier to get a good amount of froth for a spoonful before the jug has been mostly emptied, as most froth will go with the first bit of the pour. Doing it this way, as in using 1 jug and doing 2 drinks like a latte and a macchiato at the same time, is going to result in significantly less wastage. The main difference for us in doing a long macchiato is that we do it in a small piccolo latte glass. The reason for doing this is for display purposes. If the glass is clear, you can clearly see the effect of adding a small quantity of milk. The espresso liquid will change to a dark brown colour. The golden layer of crema will be on top, and you can work a pattern onto the surface with 1 or 2 spoonfuls of white crema on top. We start off with the espresso and we move across in order of the drinks that we've made in this video. Next is this small long black, or long black in a cup. There's still a little bit of space there, the crema is definitely disappearing. This is the long black in the mug. Moving along, we have the double espresso here. We have the short macchiato. And finally, right at the end here, we have the long macchiato. So the difference between all of these, they're essentially all black coffee except for the end 2. So we've got a single shot for the espresso, we've got a double ristretto in this long black in a cup, we've got a double shot in this long black in the mug. These ones are diluted with a fair bit of hot water with a tiny bit of cold water as well. Then we have a double shot espresso, simply 2 shots of espresso from the coffee machine. This is our short macchiato. It simply has a tiny bit of froth that we put on top from the jug and a tiny bit of milk, and we've done a little bit of a pattern on top there as well. Moving on to the long macchiato. The long macchiato is essentially the same as the short macchiato, however we've used 2 shots of espresso and we've used a little bit of froth again on top. We've done a nice little design and we've put a little bit of milk in as well. So perhaps if we raise this up a little bit further, you should be able to see that this liquid is very slightly a different color than the espresso. If I top it up a bit more, you're going to notice more of a color change. It's up to you how far that you top up your long macchiato. You can definitely see that that's more milky now. That's all the long blacks. Thank you for watching and I hope you enjoy. See you in the next video.